Hello and welcome. You're tuned to The Leg Up, your domestic thoroughbred weekly preview podcast. Thanks for joining us, and sadly this is going to be our last show of the season. We're having a little break, Paul. A couple of months off. Well deserved.
Sad for who?
maybe not for viewers, but back in August, Steve. Going to have a couple of freshen the show up.
Yeah, I think the timing is just heading towards Winter Cup, Grand National Week, so something to look forward to in the new season.
You know, it's a different show when your producer, Ruben, produces a run sheet.
It's taken the last show of the season.
How many
to
shows we
develop
had?
a script.
Is that the beginning of the end? That's for the question I'm asking. When you've got a run sheet to run by. But anyway, let's get stuck into it. We've got a few other things we want to touch on throughout the show, but let's start with last week, Steve, and Awapuni. What happened there?
Well, early proceedings, Alan Sharrock, Seamus,
yeah, that's
one
right.
of the better back plungers on the card. One to follow maybe as it gets to a 3-year-old next season, but also London Express finished off a lot of multis in terms of the Alan Sharrock stable and followers there. But the feature, the Rangitikei Gold Cup, Belle Placeur.
Yes.
Just had that
Off the
nice
ballot.
profile, which, exactly, came off the bench and through the back of a couple of scratchings. Belle Placeur went into the race on a rating 74 victory, a rating 76 all up in terms of her own rating. And that's a nice little profile when you get these winter races over 2,000 metres. Punters tend to gravitate towards the lighter trained or lighter weighted gallopers that might be just coming through the grades, a sense of timing, and that was Belle Placeur. But let's not forget Belle Placeur did finish fourth in a Cuddle Stakes a few starts back. And Lucy Tanner, she doesn't have too many horses in work, a feature race. She was quite emotional after the race, so a job well done for her.
Great to see.
And also
Yeah,
Kate
yeah.
Hercock. Coming back from, I think it was around almost a decade off the scene, Kate Hercock. She's had plenty of injuries throughout her career, but that was a black type win for her. I think she's had 5 wins in total since returning back to the riding ranks. And her last black type winner
This will be good.
was
Go.
one of your old faves,
Yeah.
the Counties Bowl back in 2009, aboard Richard Bamer.
Richard Bamer.
Yeah, Richard
Otto,
Bamer.
was it? Yeah, I don't
I
know.
think it had a couple of trainers. BP might be able to confirm that, but I think it had a couple of trainers, possibly Richard Bamer. So I'm not sure who it was under the care of back then, but that was her last black type performer.
Okay,
Kate
well,
Hercock.
that's not bad. The little bit of a gap between drink. Pink shirt, Paul. You can see her in pink. I think maybe our man from Hamilton might be as well.
Well, we've got
What's the significance?
the pink ribbon breakfast here today to
Breast
raise
cancer.
awareness and funds for the Breast Cancer Foundation.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Let's bring in our Hamilton man in pink. Good jump stay up there, BP at Te Rapa.
Look, it certainly was, guys. A terrific day of jumps racing and really sets up our season now, doesn't it, for what's to come. We get to Ellerslie on Queen's Birthday Monday, which will be a good side over the Ellerslie Hill, and we need to really embrace that and enjoy every moment we see over the Ellerslie Hill coming up through this winter season. So it sets things up nicely there and progressing into what should be a good jump season. So, yeah, it was a good day of racing overall, really. You spoke about Alan Sharrock getting the job done there with his early winners and Lucy Tanner with a good win. So, yeah, overall, a good solid weekend of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think go to the Maiden of the Week for us, BP. I think it might have a jumping flavour, does it?
Yeah, it does. It seems we've come to our last show and wanted to really highlight a jumper. I thought the win of Dr. Hank in the first race at Te Rapa just set things up nicely for where this horse is heading. He was a very strongly backed horse on the flat last time out, and he was expected to go a race. Now, this was start number 2 for Harvey Wilson with the ace jock aboard and Sean Phelan. He does a great job in the saddle, doesn't he? And with his opportunities limited due to, obviously wanting to really concentrate on the training side of things. When he hops on a maiden hurdler, surely that set off alarm bells, and it did for punters too, because it was very well back late in the piece. Showed enough on the flat when with the Hollands heads, and I remember interviewing Troy Harris a couple of times about this horse, and he spoke highly about the horse's potential. Couldn't quite find it on the flat, but maybe over the jumps it could be a horse to really follow throughout the winter.
You had Sean Phelan on the punters lounge too, didn't you, BP? He was quite bullish.
He was, yeah. He gave it a really good push, suggesting that look, the horse had had a few issues ironed out since heading to Harvey, and a great preparer of a racehorse is Harvey Wilson out of Waverley. Got the job done. Couldn't quite get the job done in the feature race with the Waikato steeplechase, but still win a terrific race, and it's a wonder. So, Yeah, Sean Phelan, he wears a number of hats, but he does a great job in the training caper, but still has the ability to peel off a few winners over the jumps. And speaking of that too, we will look forward to seeing Clayton Chipperfield getting back out there and Craig Thornton, as we've seen on the flat. It'd be great to see the return of those jockeys back over the jump fences coming up over the winter.
Yeah, Clayton Chipperfield going around today at Pukekohe if you're watching or be taping this show on Thursday morning. So it's interesting. You boys haven't missed Clayton Chipperfield either. I think he's favourite, didn't he, to make a winning return?
He might be in one of his races, but look, it's a nice sense of timing for these jumps jockeys to return, knowing that it's likely it might be the last time they go over the Ellerslie Hill this season. So, but a sense of timing around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, let's tuck into it. We're going to look at 3 races, all from Ellerslie today. We're obviously at Trentham as well, but we want to start in race number 3, Steve. The celebrating Savillon Blanc 1400 for the 3-year-olds over the 1400 metres. How does this market shape?
You're led by Al Tirador at $3.60. Bari Dawn Parade $4.60 each of 2. Mongolian Wing second up this campaign. Opie Boss and Baker Forsman profile $8. Illumination $9.50. Double figure price around Stringline at $10. Capaldi, Lapel $13.14 respectively for the stablemates, and Sweet Hunter, the Ranky at $14. There's no clear lead, but look, punter's pretty happy at this stage to take the 3.6 next to Al Tirador's name.
Yeah, okay. Before we get to BP, Steve, we got an idea about what track conditions are going to be like, because that could play a pretty pivotal part in a few of these races.
Yeah, that's the difficult part around Ellerslie thus far, because you're playing on a slow 7 right now, but there's showers and rain forecasted to hit around about midday, early afternoon on race day on Saturday. So how much that hits the track and affects the track is a little bit unknown, but at present it's a slow 7. I'm guessing it's probably going to be between slow 7 and a heavy 10. It's a wide window, but yeah, it's very difficult this far out. So maybe horses that have that versatility on track conditions might be the way to play early doors.
Yeah, okay. What are you thinking here, Pops, in the third of the day? A nice 3-year-old race.
What am I thinking? I'm thinking it's a tough weekend, first of all. It really is. And with having to preview as early as it is, like Stephen's mentioned, just with where the track condition is going to be, is a bit of an unknown. So we have to work with the thought of it being a slow 7 with maybe a little bit of rain falling to see it into that sort of 8 bracket. I do like Bari. I like how this horse has returned. I think he's a horse that has shown versatility through his ability to get through different types of track conditions. If you go over his last 3 starts, they've been on a slow 9, a dead 6 and a heavy 11. So they're basically almost the 3 different extremes that you can get at this time of the year with those type of track conditions. I love how he's been able to just really find it and hold on to win at Rotorua last time out. The next thing next to his name is he is going up another kilo in weight, and he has to carry 59.5 kilos. But he just seems to be a strong horse who can really put up with the battles of getting through a tough track condition, and Jonathan Riddell taking the ride once again as he did last time to the race has been winning. So I like his chances, and I just like his progress with what we've seen from him. I think Al Tirador, though, at the same time is a worthy favourite with the horse showing enough ability, running 4th in the Cambridge Breeders last time out, and won't mind a little bit of easing in the ground. It depends on how much easing it's going to get, though, because it has never won on that type of surface. But you'd imagine from that barn of Nigel Tiley that the horse is going to get through those slow 7, 8, 9 conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you thinking, Paul? Bari, good no-nonsense customer, isn't he, Bari? He just gets the business done.
Couldn't agree more with BP there. I really do like the look of Bari, and if the track conditions do worsen, I don't think he'll mind at all.
Exactly.
Right in his wheelhouse. I did like the finish of Dawn Parade last time out.
It was huge, wasn't it?
Huge finish.
Yeah.
I'm
around those two.
I'm struggling to look elsewhere.
Yeah, it was big Dawn Parade, Steve.
I was going to go back to BP with this because he was very keen on the back of its trial leading into this campaign. Look, I had to cover extra ground at Hastings. It was a beaten favourite on that occasion, and then it comes out off a reasonable SP, around about 5-6 to 1, and did the job like an even money favourite at Rotorua. So where do you go with Dawn Parade, BP? Because I know you've been a big fan of the horse.
Yeah, I have been. Look, it's fair to say I got off last time to the races because I was just unknown about the track conditions. Like, it was the last race of the day. I just wasn't too sure and didn't gain enough confidence from Tony suggesting that he is going to get through those type of track conditions. Now, what's happened is he's drawn wide and he's ended up getting to the outside part of the racetrack and he's found that right strip. I mean, it's funny saying that because before that, we found 2 winners in 2 races prior to Dawn Parade finding the outside fence, winning up against the inside part of the track.
Yeah, because of Popstar, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, look, I just feel as though he was a runner that found the right part of the track and he got through the track conditions. Is he a bona fide mutter? Well, look, I don't think so. I think he's too brilliant. I think he's got too much of a brilliant turn of foot because that's what's attracted to me, the horse, with how he's trialled up and how he has let down in the past. Yeah, he let me down at Hawke's Bay, but that was just due to the fact that he was flushed. He got flushed 3 wide on speed, and he was never going to have enough left in the tank to be able to fight that race out. So if you were able to stick with the ship, you were rewarded because he paid $6.
Yeah, he got out to big price, Pops, didn't he? Yeah, he was drifting.
Oh, yeah, and he won like a horse that, as you guys said, he won like a $2 pop, didn't he, with the way that he put them away. So on that, and on the chance of maybe if the track is slightly better on the weekend, and you can get through it. You don't want it to be holding or anything like that. That's when it could, if it's a sticky, puggy track, and that'll blunt his turn of foot. But if they can at least get through the track condition, he's a chance on what we saw last time.
What are we thinking with Mongolian Wings, Steve? I mean, didn't handle the heavy last time. Yes, it's going to be improved. Second up, natural improvement. What are they running it towards? I mean, it probably didn't handle that heavy track.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what its main target is this time in. We've mentioned time again, this horse was heading towards a derby earlier this season. It's had a couple of setbacks at least, Mongolian Wings. I would have liked to see it over 1,600. It remains at 1,400. And again, with the unknown track conditions, I'm not too sure this horse would want it any worse than a slow 7 Mongolian Wings. Just have a look in terms of the marketplace on race day, because we know the Baker Forsman and Opie Bosson combo. Naturally, you're going to gravitate towards it. But if there's a late push for Mongolian Wings in the stable confident, and the marketplace is telling us, dictating us that there's been natural improvement going second up. But I'm just a little bit concerned about, yes, track conditions, but really would have wanted to see this horse over an extra furlong, 1,600 and beyond.
Yeah, okay. Anything else in your numbers here, Paul? Down the page, Illumination, the String Lines, the Capaldis.
Lapel.
Yeah.
Picked up the first victory not too long ago.
Coming out of Maidens, but it was a good win, wasn't it?
It was a very, very good win.
No.
And you know, the Rogerson stable, they're ready to go. So, one for sort of each way. It'll definitely be in my first 4 somewhere.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Lapel, $14. A joint outside. It was quite a compressed market, Steve.
Yeah, there's only, what, 9 or so going around. Yeah, okay. What I will say about Bari is that she's shown a little bit of one-dimensional about her until last start, when she just sat off speed, because she might not get the lead here where she has had that position in the majority of her campaign. You've got Sweet Hunter, who looks to be possibly the leader in this race, and then Bari, who took a sit where we saw that last start and managed to get the job done. So knowing the fact that Bari doesn't have to lead to be a winning turn, as what we saw last start at Rotorua, I think that's a key asset if you want to reinvest on Bari, because the leader looks to be around Sweet Hunter, but those two look to dominate 1-2 in the map.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Pops, surmise us, please, race number 3.
Yeah, I'm keen to go with Bari. I really like what I've seen from him. He's a horse that is progressive this season, and he can get through, as I've mentioned, 3 different type of track conditions. So you would say Thursday morning, your bases are covered at least in terms of what type of track you will get by Saturday morning. So him on top in front of the 3 Dawn Parade. It's hard not to have him in your numbers with how good he was last time to the races. The 2 El Tirador. And the one I want to throw into the mix is the 9 and String Line. I think she's a horse that does have some good talent. She showed that when she won 2 starts ago on a dead fall surface at Counties. I really like how she reined in the leader. She had a bunny to chase on that occasion. That Ben can't say too much, who then has won following that on that occasion. But then she went okay on a wetter surface. It was a slow 9 track at Ellerslie behind Bari. It was a horse who didn't get any favours in that race. She just looks to be a horse who can really improve, and I think there's some talent there around String Line, so happy to keep her safe for trifectas and first 4s.
Yeah, okay. Pops with Bari. I feel like you might be the same, Paul.
Yep, similar shirts, similar selections.
Very good.
1, 3, 2, and 5.
Is that Lapel in there?
Lapel.
Yeah, okay. Very good. 1, 3, 2, 5. 4-man barely standing, Paul Mawadi. Let's move to race number 5, gentlemen. Mainland Auckland Futurity Stakes for the 2-year-old, Steve. over the 1400 metres.
Yeah, led by Lady Morale at 2.9, in front of Atuli Big Girl at 3.20. Mustang Valley, interesting runner here, only had the one start for a second at 3.5. Then there's a decent gap. There you go at $11. Te Porapedi at 12. Calvetto best of the rest at 23. If there was a lead, it is around number 10, the third favourite in Mustang Valley. 380 we offered on Wednesday afternoon, now trading 3.5.
It's a decent push for a horse that hasn't had a win, BP, but there's a clear top 3 here in the Futurity.
Boy, Mustang Valley was very eye-catching to the eye, though, wasn't it, when last presented, which was out of Matamata, wasn't it, when rocketing home into second spot on a track condition that was rain-affected. Gee, I nearly put it on top myself, actually, Mustang Valley, but I ended up going with the horses that we've seen and have been exposed to this grade. And look, it doesn't mean that's just the line in the sand and that's the end of it. I've gone with the Talabajil, a horse that was beaten obviously last time out in the Champagne, had blinkers on for the very first time. He got on the Chewy a touch in front, and then of course it was a funny race with what happened with obviously with those that were on the track, and even a runner that was impeded so much it was late scratched into Porapiti, runner number 2. Who actually finished in 5th position in the Champagne. But I really like our Talabajil. 1-2 starts ago. I think he can get through the track conditions with what we saw. And the biggest danger looks to be Lady Morale, runner number 9, who won that race. And then you bring in that new form line of the 10 in Mustang Valley, who was certainly eye-catching. They are the 3, but happy to give a Talabajil another chance with how he performed last time out, only been nabbed late in the piece.
You gravitating towards these top 3 here, Paul?
I really do like the look of that Talabajil
You and Pop's
well.
lining up. What is this?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Got together early or something?
Last show.
Show harmony in the ranks.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know, the things that we're meeting in a nice little middle.
Crescendo, yeah, very good.
Well, I just thought, outside of Te Porapiti, Talabajil was probably the worst affected by what happened at Ellerslie in that race. And I really did like the way the fight that was shown down the straight as Lady Morale went past. Didn't give up. I like a horse that continues to fight, and that's what we saw in a Talabajil.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see enough this time out to turn the tables.
Yeah, okay. 320. Well, Mustang Valley brings that interesting form, Steve, a different form line and the early money there.
Yeah, intriguing runner. It was hard to miss its debut run at Matamata. Mustang Valley got back from a tricky gate, ran home the fastest 8.642, closing splits Mustang Valley. I'm just worried about the overall race in terms of it really was just a void of form leading into that race. There was no real hot trial form, no strong race day form. Belladonna, who went out even money favourite at Matamata, finished 6th, so ran below betting expectations. So I'm just a little bit concerned. They didn't run time. So, but look, I don't want to knock fully Mustang Valley, because purely on the eye was very eye-catching and managed to run home its last 200, 3.5 lengths faster than anything else in the race. So it was really charging going through the line to suggest that the 1400 should suit from being 1200 on debut. So, yeah, intriguing runner. Personally, I'd be leaning towards the proven gallopers in terms of the figures and ratings. The likes of coming out of the Champagne Stakes, Lady Morale. She was very good. I'm just a little bit of a sticky gate. She had the gate just to trail the speed last start in the Champagne Stakes, but I'm just not sure where she gets to from barrier 8. Tuli Bajil, I think dropping back in trip is a positive. 14 when it was up to 1600 last start. I think going back a furlong's a positive sign around the current second fave. And overall, I just go back to the overall figures and ratings. We're around the top 2 in the market coming out of the Champagne Stakes. They did run 1 length above standard in the Champagne Stakes over 1600. So,
even with the men on the track.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So,
impressive.
BP, in terms of the mat, you've got Lady Morale, who had the dream run, gorgeous run last start in the Champagne Stakes and did the job. Where do they go from barrier 8? Do they tend to go neutral around that middle section, or will they try and come across around that 1 and 2 mat position?
Yeah, well, a Talabajil is a horse you would imagine is going to go forward from out there, and we've seen the horse show that the ability to jump and put itself on speed, and a chance with blinkers on once again. So maybe there's a chance of this maybe trying to slide and get over into that position, as you said, sort of just off the midfield, 3, 4, 5th, somewhere around that position. A chance to try and slide in would be the best for Lady Morale. That was my early thinking in terms of a map around her. I found Atelier Bagil finding that position quite nicely in front, actually, with having to do a little bit from out wide, but I just feel it can just roll and find itself there because it's so naturally good out of the barriers. And as I said, with those blinkers on once again, if he's not as fired up, 1,400 metres, there's just a couple of things in his favour here, and we know he can get through the track conditions. So hence why I'm leaning towards him. The 1, Atelier Bagil, over the 9, which is Lady Morale, I do think is the biggest danger, and we'll be trying to chase him down. And then the 10, Mustang Valley, who brings that little bit of unknown, but was so eye-catching in a midweek race last time. So they're the 3, and if you're looking for something else, to Porta Pitti, just because of how the horse ran last time out when scratched, when impeded out of the Champagne. If we're using the Champagne as a form reference around first and second favourites, well then I think this horse has to be somewhere in the mix as well.
Is it time to have that discussion about the form lines around Te Porta Pitti, or when you get a late scratching?
Don't get me started,
okay,
please.
sorry, I know your weak points. Sorry, Paul, Atelier Bagil.
On top, yeah, Lady Morale, Mustang Valley, and Te Porta Pitti.
Yeah, you've got it in there.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, and left Lady Morale out.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Second
right,
pick.
yeah, I'm not listening.
Easy, Tiger.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, by Vanberg, Mustang Valley, Vanbrugh.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many at the racetrack. Stands at Windsor Park, who have a share in Mustang Valley. He's the son of Encosta de Lago. One is a 2-year-old. His highlight was as a 3-year-old when winning a Group 1 over 2,000 metres, the Spring Championship Stakes, and contested in Group 1 company as a 4-year-old as well. So I think naturally there'll be 3-year-olds, horses that get over a mile, maybe a mile and a quarter, but if they're showing promise as a 2-year-old, maybe one horse definitely to watch as a 3. But he's an up-and-coming sire. His oldest progeny are 2-year-olds, which happen to be Mustang Valley, but does stand at Windsor Park. I think the service fee yet to be decided for the coming season, but definitely a sire on the rise.
Okay, just keep an eye out for him. Okay, guys, race number 6. Celebrate Te Akeau's Black Type wins at Ellerslie.
How many?
There's been a few of them.
I think there's 11 from memory.
Oh, okay.
I think there's 11.
11. That seems light, but anyway. So it's an 1,100 metre race.
At one course?
For the open. Oh, sorry, at one course.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
That makes sense now.
Is that all right?
That seems a bit better. Run us through this market, Steve. 1,100 metres for the open handicappers.
Yeah, nice race. Headed by Shoshone. Best lead I can give to customers on Thursday morning. Opened at $4.60. Has been heavily backed into 3.8 Shoshone. In front of Play That Song at $5 resumes. Burgundy Rose, similar profile to Play That Song, resumes here for the Te Akau team. $5.50 third fave. Popstar Princess $7.50. Princess Rihanna $8. Manrico $8.50. Speedy Media, the stablemate of Manrico at $12. Cyber Attack 12 out to 13. Love Squirrels at 15 off a shortener of 14. Ihu first up 14 out to 15, and Monaco the ranky at $21. Clear lead with number 10 Shoshone.
Yeah, it was a great return to the track for Shoshone BP on a track that probably wasn't her best.
Yes, you just stole the words out of my mouth there.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
exactly it. No, it's fine. It's fine. You can have them.
He'll charge you later.
That's right. Look, she's going to be ideally suited here to Ellerslie for a number of reasons, because of the track condition and also because she loves winning here. Boy, she looks a good bet in the race, and punters thought 4.6 was worthy of taking some, and hence why now we're looking at $3.80. She won second up last season. She actually won first up last preparation off the back of the lockdown when winning here at Ellerslie, then won second up when winning on a slow 7 out of Matamata. So she's got the natural progression line there of she can do it second up. She'll be helped by track conditions. I think it all points towards her going awfully close. If you wanted a little saver bet in the race, there is a horse I threw out last time to the races as your bit of a winter follow, and the horse is running in this race, Speedy Meaty, number 8. This horse went a nice race last time out of Te Rapa, and he does get weight relief. He does get down to, 51 kilos for this race with Eilish McCall aboard. He is a good galloper. He is a good horse, because he showed that a number of times, and obviously when he was dead heating in a Breeders with Vigor winner a couple of seasons ago. So I thought he was worthy of a nibble at his price. He's a horse who can sit on speed. There is going to be a little bit happening over the 1,100 metres naturally, because it's a short course race. But with such a light weight, he is a chance. He is a horse I'll be backing to win for top 3 and top 4.
Nice, $12 currently for the win. Speedy Meaty. Paul, initial thoughts here?
Well, the money suggests that Shoshone is pretty much wrapped the race up already. BP said the punters lapped up the 460, they lapped up the 420, they lapped up the 4. It wouldn't surprise me to see another little move before we reach race time on Saturday.
Okay.
So
talk us through.
Just sharpen the pencil there.
Yeah, well, we've had to. Look, talk us through framing this market, Steve, because look, 460, we saw the resuming run. What was the thought process around this? Because some would say generous, 460. You've done us a favour here. Yeah,
it's about keeping other runners safe, and the likes of Play That Song, which we know comes out of a punting barn, Burgundy Rose, who's trained out of the leading stable in the country. So it's about just keeping those horses safe enough without giving too much of a carrot to customers. Early doors suggest Play That Song may need the run. We saw that Te Rapa when it resumed last preparation. It was very soft in betting, even though it comes into this race on the back of a trial win. And Burgundy Rose, who will be a go-forward horse, and it's, again, won a recent trial, Burgundy Rose. So look, there's no money for the second and third favourites to suggest that the percentage has to go somewhere, and they might drift and be shoved into Shoshone. So Shoshone, look, slow 7, yes, can handle it, but if the rain comes, it might even start below $3. So that's the dilemma we're in, because we're obviously having to assess this market on Wednesday / trade it on a Thursday morning, and we go back to what are the track conditions going to come in terms Saturday afternoon. Okay. So it's a tricky run around Shoshone, but I think she's definitely a horse to watch, not just on Saturday, but throughout the winter. She's up to black type quality.
Geez, if that rain sort of came at midday, BP, and this track just opened up a little bit, we'd be biting the people's arms off for 380, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you're spot on there. Yeah. So if that forecast is bang on, that only helps Shoshone punters, doesn't it? That have taken that early price. It is a good field, though, isn't it? And you know, we are talking a lot about one runner here in the race in Shoshone who looks to be well placed, but you look at the other end of the market, or the top end of the page. I mean, you've got a horse who was able to win a stakes race for the very first time, a Popstar Princess, and she did a great job by hugging in the rails. Now she goes from 1,400 metres back to 1,100 metres and having to carry a lot of weight. So they're the negatives around Popstar Princess. What she is, she's a very tough horse, and she's shown that. She's never carried more than 59 kilograms to win, has this horse. She did that in March when winning out of Tauranga, so she has to carry 62 on the weekend. Manrico's been in terrific form, couple of kilos off for Stephen Ralph. Princess Rihanna's another one that will appreciate the conditions. Every time I've spoken to Andrew Scott about this horse, just wait for a bit of rain, wait for that right run. You know, she's run some good races, and she's a horse, if they do go mad up front and she can just park him behind, she could be the one that flashes at them late over the 1,100 metres. So overall, a really good winter, late autumn, early winter open handicap over the 1,100.
Yeah, okay, Paul. Give us a top 4 from you first. We'll go back to BP, but what you're going Shoshone?
Shoshone, yeah. I do like Burgundy Rose. It would be just like Tiako to win a race that their name's involved in.
It makes a bit of sense, doesn't it? Feels right, doesn't it?
And Palmer gets a 4-kilo claim, so a wee bit of weight relief there as well. I did like Popstar Princess. I just think under the conditions with the 62 kilos, I was umming and ahhing. I put a line through in the end.
Yeah.
I do like Speedy Meaty, as BP said.
Oh, you guys. Stop it.
and I'm putting Play That Song in there. I'd be a lot more confident if there was a wee bit more money on. So,
is that what we're thinking with that? That's going to dictate the market to Play That Song and Burgundy Rose.
Exactly, and there's just no money at this stage. I know it's early doors and there's Thursday and Friday to play out in terms of trading, and also race day, which is the most important in terms of a lead to customers. But look, she's got quality. Play That Song. She'd only have to be 90% screwed down. Obviously, she's had the odd setback, and that's why they're bringing her back, where the tracks have a little bit of yielding, a little bit of give in it. But she was, I think she won her first 3 races as a juvenile. She won the Eclipse Stakes. She went out a well-backed commodity in the Karaka Million.
Remember that.
I know it seems a long time ago, but the quality is still there around Play That Song. But again, it's all going to develop around the marketplace and getting that lead from Nigel Tiley. But look, Shoshone, overall, you go back out of that run. Look, she started, her SP was around about 17, 18 to 1, first up at Te Rapa. You look at her overall profile in terms of starting price, I think the highest she's paid throughout her career, like career to date, has been $6. So it was friendless. They knew that she needed the run, but she still ran a bottler into second place in behind Top Brass. And you go out of that Top Brass race, you got London Express, who was fourth, has come out being a sub-winner. Pop Star Princess has come out of that race, finished midfield in behind Top Brass, come out and won a stakes race. And Run to Perfection, who finished just in behind midfield, has come out and bolted in last Saturday. So overall, that Top Brass race back on the 8th of May has been a stellar in terms of form going forward. And Shoshone, you just go back to that. Saying that Speedy Meaty was in that race, led them up, ran even tempo for the first 600 of the race, and was still leading at the 150 first up after a bleeding attack. So, as BP alluded, Speedy Meaty's a big improver and looks to be one of the horses that will go forward. There's 3 or 4 that want to go forward in terms of the map. So you go back to Shoshone, she can just sit in behind that hard tempo up front and be the horse to beat.
Ooh, gee, she's found the form race there, that Top Brass race, BP. Give us a top form, mate.
All right, well, I'm going to have 4 bets in the race.
Oh, okay.
4 bets. Yes, not one,
like
not 2, but we'll have 4 bets in the race. So,
Quite light for you, BP.
That's right. Looks only Thursday. So I'm going to back my major bet in the race is Shoshone to win. My saver for the win is on Speedy Meaty. Going to have something to place on Speedy Meaty, and he will be in my top 4 Saturday weekend multi that I have, where I like to try and find about 4 or 5 horses throughout the day to run into the top 4. And I think if he can back up what he did last time out, he is a big chance of doing that with where he sits at the weight. So 10 on top, Shoshone to beat home the 8 Speedy Meaty. The 9 play that song, and then I couldn't leave Pop Star Princess out of it because she's been so dear to me. So 10, 8, 9 and 1 in race number 6. A good race out of LSE.
Yeah, I think the weight around Pop Star Princess putting a few people off, understandably, but it's hard to leave her out with how tough she is. Boys, we're going to wrap it up there in terms of previews. We've got a few things we want to cover off, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. We're going to have a look at performance or highlight of the year from you guys for the season thus far. I'm going to start with you, Paul. Can you give us something that you think back with fondness of in the last season of racing?
Racing.
Yeah, racing. Not your golf. Oh, right. Not your golf trips. And,
I'll put that list away then. I look back to the Auckland Cup, and I just thought it was great to see one of the non-major stables, shall we say, pick up a black type race. And Bill Pomare and his team, it was a fantastic training effort and a wonderful ride as well. I think everyone from National Park to Papamoa had $1 each way, at least, on Ocean Billy winning the Auckland Cup. And I doff my cap to Mr. Pomare and his team. I think it was wonderful to see the Auckland Cup travel down to Rotorua.
Yeah.
Look, I've heard rumours they're still partying
there. I don't want to use the cliche now, one for the battlers, but it was one for the battlers, wasn't it?
And I feel an affinity with that. So
here we go. Yeah, no, it was a good one. BP, let's come to you. What was your highlight or performance of the season?
Yeah. First of all, let's touch on that one because I think that is a good one. That is a good highlight, Paul, that you've mentioned because. With all the big stables, and we know that they dominate the racing scene. You know, Jamie Richards and then Baker Fallsmans and Marshes and Pikes and those big stables. It's just nice to see that the little guy can still peel off a big prize, and that just gives everyone hope. This industry is built on hopes and dreams, and that just proved that you can still do it. And look, it's something you can make a movie out of with how that horse won, with the story behind Bill Pomare as well. Nice selection there, Paul, around Ocean Billy. I'm going to go to LSE also. I'm going to go to a race that really stood up as possibly our best 3-year-old indicator this year. And it wasn't a Group 1, but it was worth $1 million, and it was on Karaka Million Night, the 3-year-old Karaka Classic, a clash between a horse who had already won at the Group 1 level in Aegon, who came into the race unknown just in terms of where he was at leading into this, with bigger things coming up for him leading into Australia, and Amadalina, who was so good and on the upward plane towards some real big fish as a 3-year-old filly. That was a clash we were wanting to see. Everyone spoke about how it was between those two horses. They set down to it. and really it was down to a gem of a ride from Leith Innes to gain the prize aboard Aegon, who had been super and unbeaten throughout his 3-year-old season leading up to that point, with how he won the Hawke's Bay Guineas and the 2000 Guineas. He then backed it up by winning, of course, when heading to Australia and winning out of Sydney, and then, of course, Amadelinha winning the New Zealand Oaks and proving that she is one of our best fillies that we've produced, and looking forward to seeing what she can do next season as a 4-year-old. So, yeah, I thought that really set up our 3-year-old season and was a great clash between two horses that we thought could run the Quinella. Certainly that was the case.
Yeah, it's great when the hype lives up, the pre-race hype lives up to the race, I guess, Pops, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. And, yeah, it was just one of those races where Amadelinha came round, made the run, and Aegon was always going to be buried. He was a horse who was going to be in a tricky spot, and it could have been a touch awkward to watch. But when he started weaving and he made that chance to burst between runners, that's when you knew it was game on. So, yeah, heck of a race. Love watching that replay of those two horses. And, yeah, let's hope we see a great season from them next season.
Spine-tingling stuff, that one. No, yeah, absolutely. Stephen, to you, what was your highlight of the year?
Look, I just can't go past Chris Johnson's achievement back in mid-December last year when becoming the all-time jockey record for wins in New Zealand. And you just see him, a typical Chris Johnson ride here. He's about 4/5 last in the blue turquoise kind of colours.
Just working his way through
Sassenach, just weaving through. Unfortunately, we're not going to hear the graphic call of T. Lee because he was spot on around his call of Chris Johnson here. But just getting over the top of them in the last 50, 75 metres, Chris Johnson. And that was win number 2452. Overtaking David Walsh. I think that record held for a good decade or so around David Walsh. But Chris Johnson, God, I went through some of his stats. His first win, 1981, aboard Noble Star. His first Group 1 was back in 1984 in the 1,000 Guineas, aboard Canterbury Bell, who is a southern icon these days as a thoroughbred. And look, he's won 21 Group 1s, Chris Johnson, locally, I think, and domestically in New Zealand. He won a premiership back in 95-96, and then we all know he won that premiership 2 or 3 seasons ago, I think 2017-18. So, look, he's added to that tally. I don't know where he sits currently in terms of his overall tally, but 2452 was the landmark, the achievement back in mid-December, and I feel it's almost a little bit forgotten.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But in terms of achievements, that has to sit atop for me, Chris Johnson being the most wins in terms of a New Zealand jockey.
He's pretty much the Phil Mickelson of the New Zealand racing scene.
Well, he's old enough, isn't he?
Yeah. Phil picking up a major over the age of 50.
Yep. Amazing, though. I mean, as you say, he hasn't been without his troubles too, Steve, let's be fair.
Exactly.
Along the way to come back, to do that, to keep at it and to get that record. I'm sure it means a hell of a lot to him.
Absolutely. And who's to say how many can he add to it? He definitely is not talking retirement anytime soon. That can change with jockeys. They can just hit a wall and say, right, that's enough for me, because we know the stress that comes with being a jockey in terms of diets, etc. and whatnot. But I think the one race he's dominated throughout his career would probably have to be the Oaks. He's won 5 Oaks from memory. Savvy Cope being the latest of those 5 Oaks. But look, he's just been a tremendous jockey. And look, week in, week out, he battles down the south. And doesn't probably get the accolades. He's not in the limelight in terms of his last 10 years of riding. But when he comes up north, he's still very competitive against our best, the likes of Opie Bosson, Danielle Johnson. And as I mentioned, just watching that footage, that was a pearler of a Chris Johnson ride. That was
atypical, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Who's second on the list? Who's still active?
Oh, gee.
Lisa?
Maybe that's a question for BP. You'd have to say maybe Lisa Allpress, possibly.
We always chuck it to BP, all these hard. Too tough. CWJ, though, Pops, I mean, talk about him for a second. I mean, some achievement.
Yeah. Look, Stephen's hit the nail on the head there, and it is for longevity, first of all, and to just keep wanting to turn up and ride winners, and he delivers. He's such a kind rider. That win really did pinpoint his skills in one race there, didn't it? And you could pick it up in the run with how well the horse was travelling. Just needed to get the split once. It did it burst between horses. And has still got it at the highest level, as we've seen here in this country still. So, great choice, Stephen. Off the top of my head, Lisa Allpress, maybe. Yeah,
that'll be a tough record to beat.
Very tough. Very tough.
Yeah,
because it is longevity, right?
Yeah, because of that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on in life for people now to say that they don't want to be, doing the one particular job forever. Especially a job like this that is so demanding. On their life. Every time they go out there, they're putting it in danger. So, amazing effort. So, nice work.
Yeah, very good, boys. Right, we're going to get to this Horse of the Year chat, Steve. Finally. Because I want to nut this out because it's going to be. There's a few ways you could go here. Who are the contenders in your eye, please?
Well, I think there's 3 contenders: Probabile, Avantage, and Melody Bell, and they all come out of the Jamie Richards barn.
Who? What?
Never heard of them.
And they've all had fantastic seasons, unbelievable seasons in their own right.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 conversations that I think is important in determining who's Horse of the Year. The first one is how much weight you put into an Australian Group 1, because Probabile, she's done the majority of her racing in Australia. She's won 2 Group 1. She's been placed in a Group 1 over in Australia. So naturally she's got more stakes money in terms of this year, v Melody Bell and Avantage. I think from memory it's around about 1.5 mil, where you're looking Avantage and Melody Bell around between 600-700K. So that's one thing in favour of Probile. But how do you weigh Group 1 success in Australia v what Avantage and Melody Bell have achieved locally/domestically with their Group 1s? The other conversation is the head-to-head Melody Bell v Avantage.
Yeah, this is a sticking one. I don't like this conversation.
You don't? Okay.
That's a great conversation.
No, I don't like that part of it. Because,
right.
Yeah, I'm sort of gravitating towards Avantage because she's won so many Group 1s. She's done the double.
She's done the
railway,
triple.
Well, yeah, the triple. But then, what you're about to say with her clashes with Melody Bell.
Well, it's 3-0 in favour of Melody Bell. And a lot of people will say, well, case closed. Purely, she's been the superior horse when it comes to her v Avantage. I just don't see it that plain and simple. Reasons being that Avantage has been beaten by Melody Bell over 16 and 2,000 metres this season. Over the last 24 months, you'd say that is Melody Bell's sweet spot. In terms of ratings and performances, that is her sweet spot, 16, 2,000 metres. You look at Avantage, on the flip side, her best performances this year on figures and ratings have been over 12, 12 and 14, in the order of the Telegraph, Railway and the BCD Sprint. So with Avantage, she's had to go out of her sweet spot, travel to 1,600 metres, where she has been successful this campaign at Group 1 level, and then also extend it to 2,000 metres. I believe that's a tick in her column.
Oh, okay.
Not an X.
Yeah.
Purely showing her versatility. Because if you had Melody Bell, and I know it's all hearsay, but if you had Melody Bell running against Avantage in Avantage's sweet spot at 12 and 14, Melody Bell wouldn't be running in the first 3. Maybe 2-3 seasons back, yes.
Yeah.
But this year, no. So that's the argument. I just don't see it as plain and simple as saying, right, 3-0, it has to be Melody Bell in front of Avantage. Purely just down to the distances and whatnot. I just feel it's a delicate conversation. But
we need Pops in this
BP,
conversation.
give us some clarity, please.
Yeah.
Well, I think Stephen makes some great points here, because when you each and every year when trying to work out the different category winners and also the Horse of the Year, you're basically using a lot of those methods that Stephen has spoken about. You look at the 2 horses against each other that are competing for a certain section, and you say, okay, that horse has beaten that horse twice out of 3 attempts. Okay, that's enough for me. Then you look at another way of going about it, and you think, okay, this horse has gone to Australia. It's been placed in Australia. It's won in Australia. Okay, that's enough weight to say, let's go there. Unfortunately for this discussion, you find yourself putting all those ticks around different horses, and you still end up with the same 3 horses fighting it out. So this becomes a battle of, do you want to go for a horse who's won 5 Group 1s in Avantage and say that is the effort that is supreme. That is a horse that has won a Railway, a Telegraph and a BCD Group Sprint, 3 Group 1s over 1,200 metres, then pushing out to further to go to 1,600 metres for another couple of victories, placed behind Melody Bell. I mean, she's had 10 starts this season at Group 1 and Group 2 level. She also won a Foxbridge Plate, also did Avantage. So that is an amazing season. 9 starts in Group 1s, 5 of them she's won. She's run 3 seconds and a third. Then the other side of the argument is how much weight do you put on the Australian performances by Probabeel, because they have been very good, including a win over Arcadia Queen when winning a Futurity, won in Epsom, run second in another as well. Is it just a year where we say Avantage deserves what she's done on the track? She's been beaten by Melody Bell a couple of seasons, or last season. Is it her chance to gain the Group 1 and the overall spoils of Horse of the Year? So I ended up zeroing in on Avantage with a very, very close second behind being Probabeel. But I think if you find the winner in the early part of new season and they announce it and it's not the one you think, you go...
It wouldn't be, yeah.
Okay, hey, well done. That's cool.
Okay. I can get it. Yeah. What do you think about Steve's point around Avantage stretching out to go to the 2000? He sees that as a positive, Paul. I can sort of understand what he's saying. Do you agree?
I relate that to a boxer stepping up another weight class.
Very good.
And boxing out of his...
Yes. Adesanya.
Yes, correct.
Went up, yeah.
So I do sort of lean towards Avantage as well, because I think that she has stepped up out of her comfort zone and still performed very, very well. Yeah. I mean, look, if we had a three-way dead heat, and I know you pay full divvies now for dead heats. So,
quite right. Well said, Paul. Good point.
Don't think we'll be bringing up a market for this. But anyway, continue, please.
Yeah,
all right. But if you ask me who I'm looking at, I'd go with Avantage.
Gee, it's not often a horse wins 2 Group 1s in Australia, and
that's the problem.
That's the great thing about this conversation.
Good problem to have.
And all out of the same barn. Incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable. Absolutely. Okay, boys, we're going to start to think about winding this up. I'm sure the boys in the studio will be pleased to hear that. But we're going to have a little break, as I mentioned, for a couple of months. Come back in early August, but I want to get a horse to follow from you over the winter months that we can back. Have a couple of wins over that winter month while we're having a little break, a little bit of money in the kitty for the next start of the new season. Paul, I want to start with you. Who's your winter horse to follow for us?
I'm going to head towards Marilyn Paiwai and Rosewood. Yep, still a very, very young 7-year-old. Don't worry about. You said you wanted 2 or 3 wins over the winter.
That's the requirement.
And I have no doubt that Rosewood will deliver in that department. So
Okay, Rosewood.
Yeah,
it was a good resuming run. Goes round on Saturday. Do we get on Saturday?
I would. Well, I am. Sorry.
Good for putting your cards on the table. Thank you, Stephen. Horse to follow over the winter for us.
I'm going to be fairly boring.
That's all right.
Because I'm going to go Shoshone. So obviously racing this Saturday, we've already touched on her chances in the open 1100 metres. But I think I don't think she'll be peaked, ready to rock and roll. Look, she'll be ready to go on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I still think her peak performance, her PB, might lie 3rd, 4th up, and that might be in black type events. So she showed it last winter. She go through the grade. She won 3 or 4 races. I think she can do a similar in terms of profile this time in over the winter.
Do we start on Saturday?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think she's clearly we'll touch on it shortly. But I think she's one of the horses to have a play on this Saturday at HQ.
Might have just given yourself away there, BP. Winter horse to follow. This will be right up your alley. Dr. Hang.
Yes.
Well,
there's one. That's one. I really wanted to find a real wet tracker. That was one that was what I was trying to find. I haven't quite found that horse yet, so I'm going to go to a horse where we have the opportunity of seeing this runner every couple of weeks, and this will be on the Cambridge Synthetic. And I really like a run of a horse that is still a maiden out of the Ralph Manning barn by the name of Mr. Razzle Dazzle. Really caught the eye with Ashwin aboard when flashing home into 3rd position. Produced the right figures, so do yourself a favour, go back and have a look at race number 2 at Cambridge from last Wednesday, the Pablo Casals race, because this horse was wanting to do a couple of things wrong, wanted to leg in, but the trials were good leading in and did a nice job working home through the line. So there's a chance for that horse, to pick and choose whatever races they want to run in over the next couple of months on the Cambridge Synthetic. So Mr. Razzle Dazzle will be my horse to follow.
Not bad. Not using the Cambridge Synthetic. That's clever from me.
It's not a bad angle. BP, we know they're having a meeting every fortnight. When is the official opening date? The meeting, I think there's minimum stakes of 40k. Is at the end of July? Because a lot of trainers are going to be working back from that particular meeting, go through the grades, pinpoint that particular race on that day. Is it the back end of July?
Yeah, I think it's the last Wednesday in July. The exact date for you, I can give it to you. Just give me one moment.
Packing Joy on the synthetic. Packing Joy, he trained on the synthetic.
Well, it's trained on it, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where is that horse? Where's the horse at?
We're going to see that in a couple of weeks at Ellerslie, funnily enough. Yeah, we won't go on about my horse, though. My, minute share. Okay. Do we get a date there, Pops? Do we get a date?
28th of July.
Okay.
And that's 40k throughout the race card. Each
amazing,
race.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I mean, the overall feeling, and we spoke about it last week, but I just think with Cambridge being a racing town, it is going to be a very well supported race meeting. Yes, the days when it's icy cold and it's not that pleasant to go to the races. Well, not many people go to the races anyway when it's like that. But just because of it being a racing town, the opportunity of just rolling down and watching the races, I think there will be a lot of people interested in going to the Cambridge races. It should be a good little venture for them. I really hope it works, and I think what we saw in the first week looks like it's going to.
Yep, absolutely. Mr. Razzle Dazzle for BP, cleverly using the synthetic for his winter horse to follow. I like that. Right, bet of the daytime, or best bet for the weekend. We'll go back to you, Paul. What have you found for us?
Heading to Ellerslie and the Futurity. I do really, really like the chances of a Tully Bajil.
Okay.
I just thought really, really was
tough,
badly affected in that race and the Champagne Stakes at Ellerslie. So with a better run this time, and I think we'll get that. Big chance.
Okay. Do the ROIs reset on start of August?
I'm hoping
they
so.
Keep going, Paul.
Keep going.
Steve.
New season.
Okay.
Need long data.
Long data's the key. You're not far away, not -9. You could be back in the green if this thing gets up. Steve, bet of the day?
I'll just go back to Shoshone. I think she's well placed. There was no money for her. First up at Te Rapa, she ran above betting expectation. If you look at the SP at 17-1 and where she finished second and behind Top Brass, we've spoken about the overall form coming out of the Top Brasses race with a number of horses that finished in behind Shoshone coming out and being sub-winners. Where does her price start? Well, rain will dictate that. If there's rain hitting Ellerslie on Saturday afternoon, well, it might start with a 2 next to her name, but Shoshone, I think she's the best play at Ellerslie on a weekend which is quite difficult to assess in terms of track conditions unless you want to play at Trentham. You know it's going to be a heavy track there.
Yeah, BP, as Steve says, a tricky weekend to be labelling them on a Thursday, but what have you got for us nonetheless?
Yeah, it is. I found this awfully hard. I nearly went to Ayrton at Eagle Farm. That horse is airborne. It's heading towards the Stradbroke.
Shorter the better, isn't it? Shorter the better for BP.
But we haven't done that. We've gone for a $4.50 chance in race number 2. At Trentham. I really like the chances of Collins Street. It's a horse I know that you don't have a lot of love affair for because it's really buried you guys a number of times. So I'm hoping that this horse can do that on the weekend. At the price too, it can, at $4.50. Look, Callum Jones takes the ride. That has got to be a big assist, first of all, getting this horse down to a lightweight of 51 kilos. Yes, Paul's winter horse to follow in the race is Rosewood, who was very good last time out and eye-catching behind Diogenes. But I like Collins Street. The horse will lap up the track conditions. He's won at Trentham beforehand. So, happy to have a little roll of the dice on Collins Street in the second race at Trentham. And just getting back to your question around the synthetics, there will be 3 $40,000 races. Just checking, Maiden Azat races. Yeah, 3 of them. So Maiden Azat over 1970, 1300, 1500 and 2000 metres. So 4 of them worth $40,000.
Is there a race there for Packing Joy?
I don't think we can get into that, can we?
We might have to carry a bit of weight.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, guys. Hey, thanks, BP, for your efforts. Take a couple of months off, mate.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, completely or just for the
you might have to talk to a few people in your office there, but you'll be back with us though, start of August, please.
Too right. Yep. Great part of the season because we start to wind up and start to wind into our spring racing and start setting some of those early trialists, and we'll see some horses maybe appear a little bit earlier than normal because of the Cambridge synthetic. Some of those Cambridge horses might be able to trial up a little bit earlier or maybe get to the races. So, great chance to try and identify some as we get closer to that first Group 1, the Tarzino at a Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Pops, as always. Crucial part of the show. He is. We need him because we've got you, Paul.
It's all about balance.
Yin and yang.
All about balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, boys, for your efforts.
Cheers,
A couple of months off. We'll freshen it up, will we? Paul, freshen up the show. What do you think?
Yep, out to
New
the
little
paddock.
segments.
Yeah.
A new and improved. Is that what
New and
we're going to say?
improved. That's what we're going to say. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Well, it couldn't go.
No, can't go.
Could
the
go
other
the
way.
other way.
Yeah, couldn't go much worse. Anyway, we have a bit of fun. We hope you do as well. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you in early August on the Leg Up.